Good evening, everyone. It's your host, Tanvi. It's my pleasure to welcome all of you to a yet another exhilarating, informative, and an adventurous day 10th of the 15 days MERN Stack Bootcamp organized by Geeks for Geeks in collaboration with Skillswell. Here, I take the opportunity to welcome our mentor, Azhar Sir, who is a full stack developer, a freelancer, and a podcaster. So let's welcome our mentor for the evening. Over to you, sir.
Hey, thank you so much, Tanvi. Let's begin today's class, but before starting, let's discuss a bit more what we had been through from last 9 days. So, Bala, you have a query. It's like I'm having a small doubt in user schema. We have created new schema for address, right? Yes. Uh, well, by default, it becomes required or not. It now how to make it required. Okay. So for that, we need to go back to our node code. So let's go our coding section begin. First tell me if my screen is visible enough or not. If not, then I'll just remove it and do some. Okay, it's good. Okay, so we have the client, right? Now let me just import one more thing, which seems to be. Or React project. Okay, so node project is here. Now in node, we created certain schemas and some of them are like in user schema, we have order. So it's like we are creating a new schema, right? Now, if you want to make it required, then how we can do it? Okay, so if you are making it required from here, like suppose maybe the type is a string and then you can, instead of a string, you can make it required like this. So the every item of that object becomes required, right? And then if you want to require this entire address, then what do we do is just remove it and hold this all, this entire object with type and then this object. So the type becomes this object, and now we have the advantage of using required true. So if you're adding new schema, then we do not have that functionality to use required. And then if you want to require this address, then instead of new schema, we can define this as an object. And then if you want to keep all of these things required, then you can go ahead. But this is how we are moving forward, and both are almost same, just required true, and that's all. So that was a good query. Anything else if you're coming out from Node or for React? If you have any queries, you can move. We can move forward with that. Okay, looks good. Now let's move forward and let's see how, like, what are the stuff we are going to handle today. So last day we learned this, right? Like the material UI and how those components are, everything works. And today we are going to use some of the components here. And one more thing that we are going to learn is React Router. So React Router is basically, it helps to route the entire application. Like suppose if this is your home page, then wherever you want to go, maybe the login page or sign up page or whatsoever. So in the entire application, React Router holds that history for your navigations, and then it helps for like behind the scene, it caches the routing and everything, but that is a different scenario. But how we are going to utilize this is like routing without refreshing the page, and it is very powerful. Of course, we are going to come up with the usage and everything. So this is how it helps. So they have also improved their website because it's now version 6. So okay, I don't know, they have sort of demo? No, it seems like they do not. Let's go to the documentation directly. And of course, in every tech you are going to use, you would have this common section, documentation, which is our helping hand to learn anything without any tutorial, but directly from the provider. Okay, so this is how you can move forward from understanding the deeper level, but like the concept and everything. But we are going to start from getting started and installation. So basic installation, create new app. Okay, so they have various tools to install, like basic installation this, and with like with npm and so on. With npm, it's simply installed this, and with create react app is like once your project is set up and react router is installed, now they have react router dom right here. Yes, react router dom. So they are saying that like suppose if you are using create react app, which we are using, so this browser router is already there with react router dom. As in, if we go to the our index file like this, as in package.json, and do we have react dom? So we have react dom, but we do not have the extra packages that they are mentioning there. It's like react router dom. So we are going to install this, of course. Okay, so here we go, react router dom, and then we are going to install this, and this is how we are going to use. Of course, this is just short of a documentation, and then we are going to work with all of this. But in short, what it does is like okay, so there are different components, so we can define components, and we can also consider this as module, and that module also could be the entire page. So suppose you have wrap the entire home page to a single component or module, and the about page to the different module, and the way you want to navigate is like home page, like only slash is going to be home and about is going to be about. And this is how the functional, like the syntax are going to work. So let's write by ourselves and then understand how it's going to work. Okay, so there are two stuff here. It says router and link, but today we are going to use routes, not link, because link literally, makes your, again, we are going to demonstrate all this and then we'll understand in deeper level. And if you're going forward to learn this from here from the documentation, then go to this section, like the examples, and then you will understand the basic functionalities, like how everything works, like the navigate. Oh, now they have also added use navigation for authentication, so it's good. Actually, I have still worked to till 5 only, and today I decided to use 6. So not only you are new here, even I am new with the React 6 because it got upgraded and we have some latest functionalities. So let's move forward with those. So let's just copy the installation npm. And again, if all of these are, seems to be more jargon to you, you can always go to the npm and then you can search for like React router npm page, basically. This is we have. And not this, I guess. React router down. No, this is not their page. So let's search React router npm. Okay, we got it. So this is their official one. Yes. Oh, they have imported all their documentations and everything to their page. So we have to learn from here only. There is no simplicity we are going to get. But this is React router. We are going to get React router DOM. And it should be on version 7, sorry, version 6. Yes, this is 6. Oh, the first one was the right one. And again, even here they have imported everything. so it's fine. We have to learn from here only. So let's work along navigations. Yeah, okay. Yes, basically the navigation, the entire project navigation we are going to use from here. Um, let's go to the coding one and use some of the magic codes. So let's install what we got. React Router DOM. Come on. So here we are defining this as state. Now we are again going to wrap this entire application and the state with some more stuff, which is going to come on. Okay, till it's getting installed. So today what we are going to do, today we are going to create a simple login and sign up and login page. So the user, how the user is going to be going to sign up with their credentials with the new user data, and how we are using our backend like the node application to use those node application as an API. We have created our REST API already, so we will also run that in local, and we will use our API to sign up a user from front end, and you will use the and will save those data to the back end like in the database MongoDB, and then we'll also create a sort of a login page where again we'll be using those API and will log in from front end. So this is a simple concept, and again if we get enough time, so we'll also look forward to create some private routes and more functionalities on the authentication. So authentication has many more logics here. So as in so a logic as in suppose if you are trying to log in, suppose firstly we have to store those credentials, we have to hold those credentials, and where we are going to hold all those credentials to the state, right? Again, user state is the first one because we are going to hold it only in a single module, like in a single page, the sign up page or maybe the login page. And then we are going to use a form, and we are going to use API to send those details, and then we are going to handle if we are going to get success and or error. And then if we are getting success, then we are also going to receive a token. And then next time if you are going to fetch private route, so we also need to store that token, right? So we are going to store that token to our local storage for now. And then every time we are going to fetch it again, then we will be using that local storage. So this local storage and everything, all this functionalities we are going to create, but these are the simple logic, and we'll dig more deeper into this. So now we'll just import something from React router DOM. So that something is like browser router, which we are going to use. Create this. So the first, if you saw the documentation, the first one was to import the browser router and wrap the entire application, right? Now we have wrapped the entire application, and then we can move forward to our application. And this is a shot of our application. So let's run our project npm. Okay, shall we run it now? Okay, we can run. So npm start. Cool, our project is running. Till then, let's import and use some of the functionalities like import few stuff from React router DOM, and here we are going to get router and also route. So we need this two stuff, and there are more. There is one more which is going to be called as an switch, not like this. which better not have for now. So our project is opening. Okay, let me just use this side by side so we can get more functionalities like this. Okay, and then bootcamp. Okay, so it works. And let me also configure this here. So if we just import our next one, which is Chrome. Looks good. Okay. Okay, now let's code along. So here our project is now running, and now let's search how we can manipulate with both of them. But here it seems like browser router, they have covered it. Router, but they should have in certain switch cases with, okay, maybe you're missing something. I'm using the route one. Router. Okay. So don't tell me they have deprecated switch. We have router DOM 6. So there is something called switch, which literally like from one navigation to next navigation you can import. And now it seems like they have deprecated, so introducing routes. Okay, they call it route. One of the most exciting change in version 6 is the powerful new routes element. This is a pretty significant upgrade from version 5's switch. Element is a switch element with some important new features, including relevant routing and linking, automatic route ranking nested. Okay, so here we go. Now we both of us are new here, and now it seems like something got deprecated, and now we are going to use something which none of us are experienced of. So let's see how it works. We have to follow the documentation all along. So let's move forward and open the documentation and how it goes. Installation we are done with. Now here is how they goes. So we are going to define, so browser router we have already defined in the entire application. Now we are going to define routes. Okay, so notice now we have defined this in the entire in the application, and under that application we are defining routes. So there might be some error, like suppose if we notice here in index we have defined this browser router for these application, and again there is a state provider parameter also. So we have defined above this, and inside that we are going to use like this. So let's see if something goes wrong, then we can always come here and fix it. Okay, so the routes and the route and define the route. So before we used to call it component, now we call it element. Now let's try some of this cool stuff here. So now we have route and router. So in the entire application, okay, let's the diff be there, or maybe we can import something. Stop importing. Firstly, the router, and the route, which is going to have multiple parameter, but that is going to be the self-closing tag. Seems like. Okay, so they have also defined some more stuff here. So if you see the indentation, so this is the parent route, which is home page, and under home page there are these, like maybe this index and items, and then in items there are three more. So they are using indentation to route all along, like suppose which is under which. So they have not segregated in the home page, they did it in this way, but this looks a bit complicated here. So we are going to use our own. If it works, then it's cool. If it doesn't, we can use the updated one. So this is the home page, and we need the element. And what do you expect in that element? Of course, a component, a functional component. So we can simply type or import something directly here as an h1 tag. Hello, home plus h1. So this looks good. Let's go to our home page, and there's something wrong. So it says you should have more than one in your application. Okay. Um, so they're defining this route, and again, indentation. It looks like indentation is must. So let's use some more stuff. Maybe like this. And here we can define like maybe hello. So hello world. Is it going to work now? Seems not. So they have error, and they are calling it something like you cannot render a router inside another router. We are using this router, but okay, maybe I'm wrapping this with div. So let's just use like this and see how it works. So it still doesn't work. And here, right? So let's use this entire route functionalities right here to demonstrate it first, and then we can move forward and implement route and the router. How it seems like. Okay. Now this is a bit noisy. Maybe we have to go back and use the 5 because I'm not so familiar with the 6 one. Okay, there are comments. So we have to use routes instead of route. Okay, Jaglit is again there. Literally, there's some typo mistake. Oh, I'm using route. Okay, so it calls route, but we are using this as a router. So let's call it routes. Thank you so much, Jaglit, again. So let's call it routes. Okay, now Jaglit has fixed the issue, I guess. Okay. Seems nothing. So let's just use this. Not everything till here. And we can go back to this and define this router as in route. Okay. So it's routes again. Oh, sorry. Okay, now you're trying to implement this with the documentation only. And it looks we are returning this hello. And it's not going to work that much. Maybe because we are defining this into the application. Okay. Slash hello. There is also nothing. So let's define our component. Const functional component, which is simply going to return this hello home. And we are going to use this home to this element as they want us to use. The same way we are going to define world as in here, a functional component. Looks good. We are not going to use any of this for now. Let's make it more readable. Okay. So now the way they are using it, but it still seems not to be working. Are we missing something? So we have this app routes, and into this routes we have this app. Okay. I think we are going to navigate. Okay, so they are wrapping this entire application first, and then into that application they are using this route. So let's use in that way. If it works, routes. Okay, and the path is seems like self-explanatory. Let's remove this, make it self-object or what. Now what am I missing here? Okay, this is going to take a lot of time. We are going to go back to use our React router 5 for now. Not this. Resources, maybe 5. Yeah, this is pretty self-explanatory for now. And we are going to use this one. React router DOM, but version 5. So let's install this again and go back to this because we need more documentation theory first and then we can move forward. Okay. So here it seems like home instead of element home. Only the problem was there. Okay, Jagreet wants to try one more thing. Let's go. Where did you refer that, Jagreet? Here or where? Or here? Only that problem was in application. Okay, so here you want this to refer. Oh, okay. Then this. Oh, Jagrit has solved that problem. Then you have to be here for this entire router 6 version. Good that you are updated at least. So this is how we are going to use route, and the second route, home route and the hello route. And again, we can define more on this. Now, what I need to check is, as they are using indentation here, let's go back to that one. The documentation overview. Yeah. Okay, so the way they are using indentation here, we don't want to use that. What we want to use here is like maybe hello. So hello, and maybe the parameter as they are using it here. Again, we are going to come up with these parameters, but for now, let's see like hello and hello world also would have this world. So hello home. This works. We are going to continue with this route. Oh, so home is home, and now this router, this is not going to work. I think I know why. Oh, both of these are this world. Okay, so this works. Now, if we move forward to more route, is it going to work? Yes, this seems to be working. Okay, good. Now we can move forward. So the route is, this is the way we are going to define all our routes. And secondly, the way we are going to navigate is there is something called link. So this link and to which route we want to define. So here we are defining this in path. There we'll be defining to which route, to hello world, and so on. So the same way. And then this will link to the corresponding one. So now I guess we got a sort of familiar with you and even me too with React Router 6. And again, we can come back to the documentation whenever we need it. And otherwise, Jagrit is always there to help us out. Now let's move forward and see the material UI components, and let's create some of our projects. Okay, so this is going to be our app page where we are going to define our routes and everything, but the way we are going to define our component is in a different page. So maybe here we are going to define our entire application. So let's create our a folder, new folder, which we can call app. And in that app, we'll be creating more, like maybe the home one, and we will also be creating more um, login and sign up. Yes. Okay. So firstly, we are going to work with home and login. So home, simply we are going to define a short of this index.js. So here, let's create a component home. We're simply going to say hello home. That's all for now. We are going to work with. Welcome home. And then we are going to export this right away. Export default this home. I guess that's just pretty much it, but okay, not exports, export. Exports means we are exporting multiple modules from here. So this home, and then let's go back to the login page and define index.js. JS. We are going to functional component. We are going to do many more stuff here. So but for now, let's define a div, and in this div h1, and in h1, okay, we haven't defined the main get login, and h1 we are going to define for now, let's just a short word text login page, and let's export this default login, and we'll create all the functionalities and everything here. And then sign up, let's create index.js. Now let's copy this page, and here this is going to be sign up page. Perfect. Now all these are done. Now let's just import all this to our home page. Yes. Now let's just import all of those in our home page. And in app, let's also define an index. But yes, index, because we are going to import all of these, and that's going to be a bit more complex. Let's not do that. And here let's import home from app home, and same way we are going to define login and sign up. So these are the components. The home already exists, so let's just remove this for now, and the home path is this. Now the login is going to be login, and sign up is going to be sign up. So let's put the home down, and that is absolutely fine, but it's cool. Okay, so this is short of our application, and sign up page. Hello world. Yes, now we are on home page, and then okay, and in home page maybe we can import some okay, no, the login page will be putting those, but here it looks good. Okay, so it's login, and here it's sign up. Cool. So now we have our login page and sign up with React Router. Login and sign up. So let's work on sign up first, and then we can move forward to login or something. Okay, till now it's fine. Remove all this. I guess action type. Yeah, okay. We don't need any of this here for now. And let's go to our application and sign up. So here, what we are going to create. We are going to create a sort of a form with certain details, and those details are going to be what we are actually requiring from Postman. And in Postman, we'll sign up, what details do we need in body? So these, right? Name, phone, email, and password. So we are going to create a form for these details and a submit button, and then we'll fetch our REST API, and we'll create a user in our database. So let's do that really quick. And go back to the coding section. Can you see my coding screen? I don't think you're able to see this. Code. Okay, now it looks good. Yeah, right. Okay, got it. Uh, Now let's move to the material UI and import some of their components to use here. So let's go, and we need some input fields, so text fields. So which one would you like to prefer? Let's see what you want to prefer, the outline, filled, or standard. Just comment it down and we'll be using this for this project. Okay, so filled, outline, outline. So two filled, two outlined. Okay, so standard is not going to take the part, outlined or filled, right? Filled. Okay, we are going to use filled, outlined, filled. Oh man, it's so tie. If someone says outlined, the another one is filled. Okay, outline filled. Okay, let's do one thing. We are going to use both of this. So filled. Okay. So for now filled one. So let's work with filled, and again later on we also will be working with outlined. So it's just a user perspective, like just the different design. That's all. What you need to define is just in the level you have to define like outline field or something. Okay, so let's get our code from here only, but there are a bit more, maybe required or something, but we also might come up with certain codes. So suppose if you want to use this code or this code or something, then you need to just tap on this. So show me the source code and let me put it like this. Okay, I don't think you can see this. Okay, so you can always tap to this source code on when they are going to be responsive. Okay, now they are responsive enough. Okay, so this is how they are going to give you the control on everything. As in, where is those? So for password, this are the passwords. And if you want to know the code, they have their code bases. Okay, so we are going to get the basic one because they are not focusing on much things here. It seems like we need to reconfigure this a bit. Um, Code looks good. Okay. So what we are going to work with field one, right? So let's import this field, and here sign up page, maybe, or this, and we need this text field. So the way we are going to import is like simply import this text field from yes, we'll be using maybe few more stuff, so we're going to use their default one. Okay, from UI, oh, they will have defined something like material and this text field and maybe also the button. So this is how we are going to define our text field. We see nothing here for now. I guess we're on the sign up page only. Oh, it's compiled, it's still compiling. Till then we can import some more stuff like button or something. So for button, we are going to use the regular one, this one. So maybe this looks good for us. So here the another component button. Okay, so we got the field one and button. Of course, all of this need to be aligned properly, but we are not going to focus much on that. We'll write a short of small CSS to fix that quickly. And that's all we need. Okay, if they have some good typos, maybe not seems like, okay. So they have this box kind of stuff. We can also use this to, you know, manipulate our layout, like the container grid and everything. We can use their container. And like if you have used maybe the Bootstrap or Tailwind or something, then you must know this, I guess. So they have also this grid. So they are in Bootstrap, we define this as row and column. So here they are defining something called grid. So it looks good. So we can use also this. So here, let's define this container. And what the way they are defining this box or something like this. Okay, great. So let's use the container first. So maybe we can import the container from here, container, and then instead of div, let's define this in the container. Let's go back, and there is a short of a padding, but we also need to fix few more stuff from here. Like firstly, let's delete this app.css. The global CSS will be importing right there. Okay. And of course, we haven't covered like how we are going to define CSS. So simply you are going to write your CSS and import like this. Simply just import it and we are ready to go. So we are going to define some more stuff like for extra padding and everything, like HTML and body. We need margin to be 0 and padding to be 0 by default. Not comma, sorry. Okay, great. So these are there and looks pretty good. No, I have fixed it. You can refresh now. Okay, so here we go. And now we need to define some more stuff like the container we have now. Now their container have more max width fixed and so on, but we need some more details for container. So like classes component. So max width, and we are also going to make it short of center maybe. Max width is going to be medium because we are going to make it mobile friendlier because we are going to create the application in the browser. So that needs to be there. And if we can utilize box or maybe the item or something to make it more user friendly. Okay, yes. Okay, so they have create system right here. So we can call this kind of grade and how much space they are gonna take. And also like this, maybe. So, okay, let's import grade because we don't want what's happening. Okay. Because we don't want this to be in grade. And this grade, and this is also going to be grade. Okay, am I missing something or what? Button, yes, this is the button. Okay, compiled, and this seems to be item, and it's not defined any more stuff. Looks good. Now we have like this. So let's also define our create in the button. If they would have something like sort of a form or something, it would have been a bit more better. But for now, it's fine. And the spacing stuff, spacing, they're defining. Okay. So in create, we are also going to define spacing, which is going to be 2 at least. Looks good. Okay. So here there is it seems to be not much spacing, but we want this to be space from bottom to top. However, okay, so they have two types of spacing now, row spacing and column spacing. So let's use that one. Okay, they have something like item and container. This is also good, but for now we are going to use something like item, and we are going to use this two, and even here not so many stuff, but only two. Let's see first if it works. This seems to be not working, and I'm not going to debug this one now. Let's go with it and add our form. So here content, sign up, and here we need something. um okay, so here we need something like more stuff. So in text field we are going to make it not id. So what data do we need? Name, phone, email and password, right? So make this name, and the label we can make as in name. So this becomes name, and then we can just clone this. Moreover, for more four, the another one is going to be id, maybe phone, and the name is going to be phone. This is going to be email, the label is going to be email, and the last one is going to be password, which is going to be password, and all looks good. Now we have all these. However, this password field is going to be type password. So simply if we type something is next to the password, that's it. Okay, now we have all this data. So if you have worked with form on raw JavaScript and CSS, or raw JavaScript and HTML, then you know like there is something called method in the entire form application, and then we hold the entire application and so on. But here we are not defining any form or something. We can do it, but for now we are not defining any form or something, just to show you how this kind of forms work with React, and you can also define that, of course. So let's now we need to hold all of these properties, right? And the way we hold it is a bit weird here, but that's how we are going to do it. So handle change is going to be a callback, which is going to hold this, which is going to take event. And then, okay, so here we are going to change the handle change, and this is going to be in a text field for on change. So there is something, there is an event called on change. So on change triggers whenever anything go changes, like suppose if you type something or so, if you edit something and so on, then this triggers, and for this triggers, and then in event you know what we are getting, the value and everything, and then we are going to store those values to use state. So we are going to use something like this, and which is going to be maybe form data. Oh, no, form data is by default a JavaScript prototype, so we are not going to use that name. What we, okay, there are a lot of comments. Let's see. IG, there is an way of multi-change color. Yes, there is a way of using, we have to do that using CSS, but if you want to change the color of the button, yes, there are a lot of stuff. No, confirm password we are not going to take for now. So let's import this from React first. Okay, so initial state, we are going to keep an object, and of course we are going to come up what are those objects and so on. And here, so in that object we can pass something like name, which is going to be a string, which is empty string, and phone, which is going to be an empty string, and maybe email, which is going to be an empty string again, and maybe the password, which is going to be an empty string again. So these are the data we are going to hold here. Let's call it state, say it is set state. Let's call it data, and here set data. Okay, now we have these data, right? So here by default, there would be certain values. So let's put those data first, and then we can move forward and create some more. Like here, there would be something like default value maybe, and that default value is going to be data dot name, right? Because this is name. So this default value is going to be everywhere, but this is going to be phone, and this is going to be maybe email. I know that's a bit hectic, but this is how we are going to handle form, and this needs more clarity when we are going to create this password. These are the data, right? So of course we are going to optimize this code a lot, but for now let's just go with it. And now set state, right? Now is okay, let's see if something, if we store something in name, so is it going to change? So let's store Ayush, and then this by default takes Ayush, right? But if you're editing something, then of course nothing is going to work. It's Ayush by default. So let's get our console and do some more data here. So we are calling this handle state, and on change calls a method where we can get this event. So firstly, as we already had discussed that day, we are going to prevent default oh man, default first, and then we are going to work with events. So we are going, whatever is coming, maybe, okay. So in the state, not state actually, state data, where load all the data, and then e has e dot target, which is the exact element which has id, and assign for that one to e dot target dot value. Now try to understand this. This is a bit tricky, but this is a very short code, or we would have wrote this handle change for explicitly for everything. Like now what we are doing, let's remove this for now. Now what we are doing here, we need to on change, there is a short of a callback where e is there, and then let's try to console.log. Then you will understand what it is actually. So in name, if you're going to type something, maybe E, see, this is going to return this entire object, right? And this entire object is like is prevent default. This is what we are going to uh, make it, we are going to call this and close it. Then there is something called target, right? And this target, oh, I've lost it, wait. So this target had many more stuff, but here we type E and target has the value E. So with this target, whatever you are going to type, we are getting in e.target.value, right? And there's one more thing. E.target also has one more value, which we are going to call, of course, target has a lot of functions and everything because this is input type. So ID. Okay, ID name. So that target also has ID. From where is it coming? The way we are going to define it. So we have to make sure this ID should be the same with this. Why? Because what we are doing is we are getting this ID, what we are saying with set state, that load all the data, whatever there is, and just set that and just update that state with this, like whatever a.target.id is, which here, which is name, here, which is phone, and so on, and update this state for that particular property with this value. So this state is constantly updating that property, whatever that target is calling, with that particular value. And it's simple. So instead of calling it here in every particular on change, we are just creating a common handle change and then do this. Oh, we are not going to call a prevent default. We are going to call this while submitting. So this is how we are going to do it. Now, suppose if you are going to write anything like this, okay. For now, we can also type this down, but let's forget it for now. So let's consider whatever we are going to get. We have all these values, right? Now, if we have all this value here, what we can do is let's write one more function, which is handle submit, or maybe we can call it sign up. Handle sign up, where we are getting e again, and here we are going to call prevent default, and then simply console.log the data. Okay, so use this sign up where to this button whenever we are going to click. Let's close this on click method, and then while this method on click method, this is going to work. Now let's work this. Now if you tap on sign up, this is going to call this handle sign up, and then we are going to log this entire state. So whatever you are going to type here and sign up, we are getting this value. So while sign up with this button, we are getting all those values, whatever we are going to type up, right? Perfect. Now let's optimize this a bit. So here what we are defining is data.name, right? And the default value for an input should be string. But here, if we do not, what if we do not define, suppose if in the form there are, suppose 10 properties, like 10 input fields, then we are not going to type this 10 explicitly, right? So let's just remove this and see what happens. Okay, now the moment if you type something here and then sign up, it's going to give. But the default value you cannot put here, right? Like suppose it is not considered as in string. See, they're calling it name, but this name does not exist. So this actually becomes recycled. Like for now, you are not getting that error, but you are going to get that in the future. So for that, what we do is if this exists, or maybe we can put something like if this does not, no, in default value, if this item is there, then that is the default value, or simply an empty string. This is how we are going to handle it. So this helps not to break this form. So the input field always needs to know that they need to hold a string, not undefined or null. So this is how we are going to handle this input, so we don't get error in the future. So let's import it. Now if you're going to write anything, and then we are going to get this, right? Of course, then we can add more HTML fields like required, maximum, and so on, those validations, but we are not adding it here for now. Let's consider but for few stuff, we should be adding it like required, which is going to be true, and name, right? If we do not type it here, then it still works. I guess this is how you're going to work. But let's forget this one now. I'm not going to use this much for this project. It's fine. So here what we are going to get is this data, right? Now the next step is we need to send this data to our API and get the and sign up this particular user. Whatever we are going to get is right. So let's use our, now let's move forward and fetch something. So there is one more thing. We can use Axios for sure to fetch our database and so on. But there is one more thing, and that's called React Query maybe. So this is more powerful. So we can use also this React Query, but we have already seen, I thought of using this actually for this project, but it seems like I should not use this before my proper documentation, because if you do not understand the theory, I cannot just move forward and, go like research and do all of these things while in the class. So that's a very bad idea that I realized today. So what I'm going to do is using the Axios one to fetch our APIs. Okay, for form validation, we would need to make the button type to submit and enclose the form in material UIs from tag IG. Yes, and for validation, not only this, not only submit, but we also have to wrap this in form, then the validation is going to work. Uh, okay, so let's use Axios in short, and where's the npm? Okay, let's install this right away. Close, install Axios. Okay, till it's getting installed, let's create one more folder here, which we can call config. And in config, we are going to define our HTTP, basically HTTP service.js. So what Axios does, like suppose if you're going to fetch certain APIs, then Axios is going to fetch those API for us. Fetch as in we can use Axios to fetch those API, and then like to work with APIs, we can use Axios. It's very powerful, and of course, it also has async await functionalities, and it syncs much better way. So in HTTP services, of course, we are going to use HTTP services while handling private route maybe. But for now, let's use the public one. And but here is one more thing. We have to use both of the um, servers, like front end here, and let's also use our backend. Okay, so we are here. Go back. Go back. Let's not close it. We also need to go through the documentations for a bit, just to show you how it's look. Zomato. CD Zomato phone. It seems like there is I put a short of a space there, so it's fine. Let's work with this. I need to add this with Zomato phone, and in this database, I'm going to run npm start. I hope the script that I wrote there is npm start only with for nodemon. Yes. Okay, so now we have our live server, and we are also connected to our database. So let's work with it and store our first user. Okay, so now we are getting all those data, and of course we also need to note that if we check our postman, So here we have Azhar as in name, phone, and email and password. So this naming conventions we have to follow, right? We are sending this object, so we are holding an object in that state with these parameters, right? So we are sending all of these things, and the naming convention should be the same. Okay. So here the name looks good. Now we have this data, and let's use Axios. So I hope Axios is installed, and we are using our server also. Let's cross check in package.json. Yes, we have Axios. Let's import Axios. And we also need to see a bit of documentation, the way we are going to call it and what are the possibilities with this. So for documentation, if you have already worked with HTML and CSS, this is how we are going to work with CDN. And in that JavaScript file, you can use Axios to fetch, but usually we use fetch method to fetch APIs, but here Axios has something. So let's use this, and I hope Axios work well with React. Yes, it's going to work. Okay, so so these are the method type. Like Axios has multiple methods. I can show you, I guess. So APIs as an Axios have, okay, this has only one right here. So like get, post, patch, and delete, all those functionalities Axios has. The first parameter, what you need to send is the URL that you want to work with the API. And then here is then cache, and you can also work with async await and so on, because this is a promise. So here we go with async await, and it works fluently. Okay, so and the post user, what endpoint you want to send, and then this, what data you are going to send. The first parameter is going to be the endpoint, and the second parameter is going to be the data which we are going to work with. And multiple routes is there. So more, of course, you are going to work with Axios in future. So go through the documentation and just read out once that how it works. And again, if you are familiar with fetch, then this is how we are going to work with Axios, as we have already worked with fetch. So like defining explicitly defining methods, URLs, and data, and so on, right? So now let's work with Axios. Now we have Axios, we are logging this data, but instead of login data, let's do something. So new user is going to be await, and this needs to be a sync function, await Axios dot post. And from where we are getting that this is post, if we go to the Zomato, our node project, and see for user registration, as in for user sign up, what method we did, post, right? So we are going to use post, and this is the endpoint. Of course, we are going to use the endpoint. So the endpoint is going to come with the here, yes, the way we had defined in our postman already. Or we can also hold this like we are going to set this in environment variable. If you're not sure, we are going to work it with it, don't worry. And then we can define this, we can send it right here, URL, and the second parameter is going to be data for sure, right? Okay, so this is how we are going to work with our database, with our REST API in a simple method like Axios and so on. So the new user, now let's log this new user if it works. Now where are we handle error just right away, as we all have already seen you. I have already show you in the node application. So for now, let's just error log with the string, like something went wrong for now. what we are doing right now is simply just saving this error. Sorry, we are just saving this data, and that's all. And we will also come up with more functionalities, like the maybe the trigger or something, trigger as in some sort of pop-up notification or something. We would of course come up with those, and I'll optimize a bit more components and everything. So from tomorrow we'll be working on the functionalities, not the UI sections. So maybe I'll already make this UI a sort of simple UI just to make you more fluent on this, and then we'll be working on functionalities, like how we are fetching those API, how we are creating this entire application. So the designing won't be the part, like not much one, because we are not learning HTML or CSS here. So, okay, so this works well. Now let's use this. Maybe the, now, okay, let's go to our database and open our local storage, our local database. So I'm sure you already know how we are going to use our local storage, simply by using MongoDB. And it seems like we are not able to use. So let's just close it, or what? Let's close it and use it. I'm closing it and opening it again, but for now, let's create it. Create the data first. Maybe the new username is Dia, phone is 12345678910, email dot email@email.com, password is 123456. Okay, ready? Oh, I guess something is wrong. Development has been disconnected, but it has not been disconnected. So I think we need to refresh the page first, because this new server has opened a new server. So it got disconnected. Mail 123456. Okay, now we hit sign up and see some error. And here it says 2000 local 2000 users sign up, and this shows some error. So let's close this and use and hit again. And if we see what kind of error we are getting is payload. Oh, request payload, and in response we're getting nothing. But let's check our backend, and it seems like there is nothing right here. So let's go to our controller, and whenever someone is trying to log in, we need it here, or maybe, okay. So whenever someone is trying to log in, let's also log in the request dot body, and by indicating new user. Okay, so our backend will indicate in console that new user is trying to log in, and this seems to be not working, both of them. Okay, so the return policy is strict origin. Okay, so we are getting sort of cross origin error. So let's use CORS in our project. So cross origin is basically if both of the API, suppose if the API, so this API, consider this node application as in that API as in a website, right? There is a sort of endpoint and the domain, right? So if the backend and front end domain is not same, then we get this kind of cross origin. So it means the origin is crossed origin. So in that way, and we are going to fix it because the backend is working on local host 2000, and then front end is working on local host 3000. So this is the difference, and here we are going to use this app.use course, but explicitly we are going to allow everything. So enable all browse request. So for now we are going to allow all the course. In index, we are just going to use this and this course. Of course, we are going to install. We have install course, and here course is coming from require course. Again, start. Okay, so this looks good. Now, if we try again, so new user. So now finally we are able to fetch, but still we got an error. So this we are getting certain confliction. Response is false, unable to log in, and we are not getting any error here. So let's go to our backend and fix it. So we are responding this, but we are not logging anywhere. So for now, we are just logging it here. Then we'll create a sort of method to logger, like error logger. We need it every time we are getting any error. We'll be logging it out, like from where it is coming and so on. Let's try to create again. And this is the error we are getting. So it says error is address is required. Okay, so at the beginning, while beginning of the class, we demonstrated why it is required, and then we forgot to change it. So that's why the address gets required. So we are getting an error. Now it looks good. Perfect. So let's remove all this again and then add our user. Now it seems success. So the success and message is there. Now if we go to our console, there should be our new user. Maybe. Okay, so there is no user. Of course, there should not be any user because we are directly logging. Okay, so the phone number is unique. Let's change the phone number and log it. Oh, email ID is also unique. Okay, cool. I'm also going to change the email ID 1. And here we go. In data, we are getting this. So this looks perfect. Now we are able to log in. So let's also connect our Mongo database. If it connects, then we are also going to see in our database. I'm not sure, but for a few reasons, my local database is not getting open. But it's fine. What we can do is we can go to our Postman and try to log in with the updated data. So the updated data was test one, not this one, not here, maybe in the login, and then 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, and the password was 1 2 3 4 5 6. Now if we log in, try to log in, so we are able to log in, and the new user is data. Right now there was also 7, the second user, which was test one email ID. Now if we try to log in, then we are able to log in with the token on hand. But it seems like my database is still not working, so I'm not able to show you in the database, but it's fine. What this course will do, we can check data from console. Course is basically, as I told, course is simply helps you to, you know, work with cross origin platforms. Like suppose API, like suppose on Node application, the API is okay. Okay, so the Node API is suppose Node my REST API.com and then slash user, right? Suppose this one is my API, right? Suppose maybe my API. So now our demo, like our application, in our application, the domain is my API.com and then the rest of the endpoint. Right now, if we try to know what Node does, it does not let anyone fetch this particular API except the origin one. Who is the origin? My API.com. Suppose now on front end, or maybe somewhere else, if there is some, or maybe on another API, or maybe the front end, origin has also, origin means the origin domain, the origin domain also has the same as in myapi.com. So then they are going to let you fetch this. So for to work with the cross platform, like suppose if the origin is different, then also work with this API. So we open this for all with the code we just we have just seen here. So it's like, So here for now, we are opening for everyone, but we won't be opening for everyone. What we does is we explicitly, so there is a documentation, you can move forward and learn those. So here we explicitly mention from which origin we are going to expect. So explicitly, we are going to expect only that origin, which is our front end, and none other origin, none other domain can access our API from there. So that's all. Now we are able to work with all this. So what we have seen today is short of a form, how we are going to create this form. I know it's ugly. It's so ugly, but it's fine for now. So we are able to create a sort of a form, and the way we are going to handle this is, don't forget the default value we have mentioned, and on change, of course. And the common on change method is this, and we are going state to manage the form data. And then we are using Axios to fetch our backend API. And then we are going to hold this, like suppose now we are able to get this new date, new user. And the moment we get its success, now tomorrow we'll be learning how to log in and hold token and then store token. So tomorrow we'll be learning all of those through. And of course, I will make a sort of different API just to make it more bold and representable, at least, because you might be using this for your CV or something, but I want you to customize it on your own. But at least from starting, I want to make it a bit more better, like not ugly like this. So I'll add a short of some CSS maybe, and that's it. So for now, we are done. Tomorrow we'll be learning the login purpose, and then from login we'll be storing token, and we'll be hitting some private routes, and then we'll be managing the admin and the restaurant type and so on. So no, like see, so there's a lot of things to discuss. Firstly, now what we are learning is the functionalities, right? The how we manage the handle submit, how we manage the on change functionalities. Now again, for all of the forms, for all of the for all of the submit button, I'm not going to write all of this code here, right? We are not going to do that because we have less time to create this application. So now in this weekend, I'll try to make as much as component possible, and I'll make it more you know like I'll move forward with the code. And then of course in the next class we will go through the all of the components and everything. And of course in theory I'll tell you that this is how this is working. And of course as I demonstrate, we'll be working on those demonstration. And then but the major thing that what we'll be working once, we might work twice but not more than that because we have less time. But at the end of the day, we have to build this entire application and we are a lot behind. So in this weekend, I'm going to pick this project up, and then let's see how it looks like. So maybe the restaurant one and the Zomato. So the Zomato page and restaurant page would be there, and how we are handling. So tomorrow we'll be creating a login page and how we are handling the token, and how we are creating, how we are protecting our different route, and so on we'll be working with. And then we can move forward to the user page and the cart and everything that we already had here, like in the reducer and something. So I guess that's all for today. If you have any queries, we can move forward and take it all. So please push your code. It will when we get stuck. Of course, I can push my code for sure. Let's just push it right away. The note is okay. So I'm also both of the code. I'm pushing code. Okay. Till then, you have any queries? You can of course ask.
Thank you, sir. We are really elated by having such an enlightening session. So, with that, we'll go ahead and take some time for the questions. I think we have a few of them in the chat box.
Okay. Let me just push this code quickly. Perfect. Now the code is live. You can go ahead and check both of these and run on your local. Of course, go ahead and play around with this, test different stuff. Maybe you can just customize this component and everything, and then just create your own and just keep these functionalities, and that's all you are going to play with. Okay, so few queries, I guess there in MongoDB compose it is not connecting to local store. I think it's some other API. I guess you get it. course is a browser security feature that restricts, okay, and that is an answer a specific domain, access your resource, and the stores or press push your code, it will guess what the cost is. Okay, there is not much push queries, I guess. Uh, Perfect. Okay, so if you're coding along by yourself, then just go ahead and take the references from the code that we are writing during the class, then you will understand. And if you go through this, then you will also get more knowledge from the theory and going through the code directly. So there's a your attendance link, I guess. Tanvi, you can move forward with this.
Yes, sure. Okay, so that's great. We thank everyone who is present for, and we really appreciate your keen interest that you have shown. So we have dropped the attendance as well as the feedback form. We urge you to fill it out. And in case of any queries or any recorded sessions, you can drop us a mail, which the mail address will be mentioned in the chat box. So that's it for the day. Anything so you want to add on before we wrap up?
No, that's it for today. Tomorrow we'll be going up and work on login. That's all. If you have any queries again, so just join the Telegram group. And if you are getting any error or anything, I'm there to help you out. We can discuss more on this. And if you have, even if you have any queries or something, you can literally ask there. We are open and we can solve our queries right there. As much as we discuss on certain things, we get more knowledge, and for you, even other people will get those knowledge. So it's really required. See, I cannot just help you out with every single thing. Like suppose this is this, this is this. I will, if you, until you ask it, like suppose there are 100 of stuff, but I do not have enough time on during this class. We are already extending this so much, but we do not have all of those things together. But if you ask like why this is happening, why this is happening, explicitly we will go through this and learn together. And that is the motive of getting all together and creating this community, right?
Perfect. So we'll see you next time. Till then, you can follow us on Instagram and definitely join our Telegram group so that we can grow together and make things happen. So this was the day 10th of the 15 days MERN stack organized by Geeks for Geeks in collaboration with Skillvalley. This is your host, Tanvi, signing off for the day. Thank you very much.